Delegates and guests, welcome to the final day of the 2007 National Convention of the Young Democrats of America. And now to call the convention to order, here's your president, Chris Galloway.
I am pleased to call to order the final session of the 2007 Biennial National Convention of the Young Democrats of America. Please stand with me as, to honor America, we call to the stage for the singing of our national anthem, the Vice President for Programs of the Young Democrats of America from the great state of Tennessee, Chris Anderson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we'd hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Chris. If you would remain standing, I'd like to call to the stage from the Texas Young Democrats for the purpose of delivering the Pledge of Allegiance, Jenny Bell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jennifer. Well, are you excited that we've reached the final session? Ready for a long afternoon? I have a couple of announcements before we start with our first speaker. Any caucus officers who were elected yesterday are going to be recognized during the session. It's later on the agenda that you'll see that. We'll have every caucus come up on stage and have their officers introduced. After we adopt the platform report, assuming that you adopt the platform, if all of the caucus officers, the newly elected caucus officers, would please go backstage, you go out the door, go backstage to Lone Star A2 and enter the backstage area, we'll prepare you to come on stage. Again, all caucus officers for our caucuses that were elected yesterday. We'll make the announcement again for those stragglers this morning. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker for this morning's session, a person who has been a strong, strong friend and supporter of the Young Democrats of America for a very long time. I first met Susan Turnbull when I was the executive director of the Kansas Democratic Party, and she was a DNC member and chair of the DNC Women's Caucus from the great state of Maryland. Your YDA DNC members were excited to support her when she decided to run for vice chair of our national party. And we are thrilled to have such a strong supporter at the DNC helping to make sure that young people continue to be a focus and that young people are represented every day. Ladies and gentlemen, the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, Susan Turnbull.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Chris. Thank you all of the YDA officers for having done such a great job, because you know what? It's so much more fun when we win. So much more fun. Thanks for your help. I've been on a humidity tour this week. I was in Fort Lauderdale before I got here yesterday. Tomorrow I get to go to Columbus, Ohio. And then I get to go home to Bethesda, which is always hot and humid. Sunday, I go to Sunday, I stay home. Then I go Monday to Charleston, South Carolina for our debates. But fortunately, I've discovered product, so it's okay. I think many of you know I'm here with you at the YDA convention for the third year in a row. Actually, last year in Las Vegas was pretty humid too, but we won't talk about that. I came here because I know you're not the future of the Democratic Party. I don't care how many people have told you that. You're the present. You're the present. I get it, and you get it. We know that. We read the polls. It's your demographic that was the only age demographic that supported John Kerry in 2004. And the increases that you make in voter participation make the difference now and for the future. It is reported that if someone votes for the same political party for 2 consecutive elections, they're hooked. Well, you're the people who are hooking them, and we want you to hook even more people. There are as many people in your generation as there are in mine. My husband and I are very proud helicopter parents. Actually, we've done our share to keep the numbers up. My generation came to our political sophistication, if you can call it that, during the Vietnam War. Actually, my husband even went last week to the McGovern reunion, having been a campus organizer for George McGovern at Cornell. You're in the middle of this debate in Iraq. It's your colleagues, your peers who are there fighting for us. The activism that the YDs provides has been part of the critical shift to help America understand it's time to bring this war to an end. You teach me and all of us every single day how to communicate, how to look for information, and how to have fun. And I thank you for that. You inspire me. I wasn't a member of the YDs. Obviously, I was a young Democrat once, I'll admit, aged out. But I worked on the Hill starting 2 months after I turned 21. And some of you might remember that I was an intern in college for the city council when Jerry Springer was starting out in Cincinnati. I love telling people that. I always get a reaction. It's not always a good reaction, but it's a reaction, and so I like it. Let me fast forward. And as a young mom in my 20s and early 30s, I'll admit, I volunteered for my local congressman and was eventually elected to my county central committee. It's funny because my central committee members are here. I have 2 here today from Maryland, and that was my first office, and my political bosses are right here from Maryland today. And I can tell you, it's critical to have the kind of network that you all have. It brings strength to us, to the Democratic Party. You have this incredible network. Make sure you use it and leverage it, and make sure that you are involved in what we're doing at the National Party with our 50-state strategy. I gave you my background largely because what I do now as vice chair is based on 30 years of campaign experience in the grassroots. Although I live inside the Beltway, I was raised outside the Beltway. And that's where I go back when I campaign and work for our party. So let me tell you what I've seen in the grassroots since I was here last summer. First of all, I was all over the place. I was on campuses in Ohio, Missouri, and Michigan. I've spoken in Virginia, California, Wyoming, Minnesota, Florida, and New Jersey recently. And I can tell you, it's much more fun when we win. Much more fun. Last summer, when I spoke to you, I'd been on a different kind of tour, a 2,000-mile tour through rural Ohio, traveling with Frances Strickland, Ohio's new First Lady. I met Ohio YDs everywhere and know the vitality that was brought into that campaign, that entire ticket, and elsewhere across this country. It's you who helped us elect people like Nancy Boyda and Carol Shea Porter and others across this country. And the most fun of all was having my basement as the boiler room for Montgomery County for the last weekend of the Maryland campaign. While a dozen people were working around my ping pong table, I spent the day on talk radio, 25 shows in one day. That's my all-time record. And my husband and I were the only people there who had aged out. And the people in that room weren't volunteers. They were the coordinated campaign staff. They were the Maryland campaign. And folks, you helped us all get it right. And you're going to have to do it again. You're going to hear from and have heard from many people this week, who will talk to you about Congress, labor, and the 2008 campaign. Well, we've made a difference. There have been consequences with elections, and they've been good consequences. That's a good word. Consequences. Congress has made remarkable inroads for America, and we're all part of this together. Today's going to be a busy day, and I'm going to just tell you one more thing. I joined Facebook. Now, you have to understand, once my 25-year-old son got over it, because that was not his most favorite moment of his mom, I got hooked. So keep me informed and keep in touch. I came to Dallas to say thank you, to spend some time with my own favorite YDs from Maryland, and to see so many of you that have become my friends in the last several years. When you see me, talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind, how I can help, how we can work together. I'm here because, as they say on Facebook, you're my friends, and I'm happy to be part of your network. Take care, and please have fun this weekend, because when we all go home, we have lots of work to do. Keep it up, and keep it up, and keep it up, and be strong, and help us win in 2008. Thanks so much.
One more round of applause for the Vice Chair of the DNC, Susie Turnbull. Our next speaker may scare some of you a little bit when she walks on stage, depending on your activities of the previous evening. To introduce her, I am excited to introduce a member of the Dallas County Young Democrats and one of our superstar volunteers from the weekend, Sarah Duncan.
Blame it on Texas, don't blame it on me. I am what I am, and that's what I'm gonna be.
Morning, y'all. How y'all feeling this morning? Appreciate y'all showing up. I've learned in this business, if you can't party like a rock star all night and be at the 8 o'clock meeting, you are in the wrong business. This morning, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce to you a remarkable woman, Dallas County Sheriff Lupe Valdez. Elected in 2004, Sheriff Lupe Valdez is a former U.S. Army captain and Treasury officer. Her law enforcement experience makes her eminently qualified to lead and repair a department mired by decades of Republican cronyism and corruption. When a Democrat wins an election, that is a triumph for our organization. When you elect the first female, the first Hispanic, the first lesbian sheriff in Dallas, Texas, that's history. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dallas County Sheriff Lupe Valdez.
I'm sure glad they didn't play I Shot the Sheriff. I would have been a little upset if they did that. But anyway, welcome to Dallas. I'm sure you've heard that several times. You know, Texas is so big. We have so many different styles and so many different things here. I was in a little area not too long ago where someone used yes as a two-syllable word. I asked them a question and they said, yes. So it came out as two syllables. But that's not some of the only things we do. I was in another area not too long ago, and somebody said, we have a new Texas word. It's called witchy-ditchy. I said, what is witchy-ditchy? He said, yeah, that's when you say something like, you brought your gun with you, did you? So, this crowd is still a little asleep from last night. But it must have been a good time. Anyway, there's 253 elected sheriffs in Texas. 252 are males, so that tells you where I'm in the batting order. The neat thing about that, there's always a positive thing. The neat thing about that is when there's a conference, the bathroom line from my side is so short, I can just go right in there. There's no problem. Seriously, let me thank you for what you're doing. We need you in the party. You are young, energetic, volunteer, and you have a good heart. In the 2004 election, 3 out of the 4 full-time people in my campaign were in your category. When I first started out, it was quite a novice team. None of us had ever run an election, been a candidate, been involved in an election. We've never done anything like that. About the last 3 or 4 months of the campaign, we got a person moving from Austin to Dallas, and she had actually been involved in a couple of city council elections. It wasn't as big as a county election, but she had some experience. So on election night, when it was so obvious that we were going to win, we turned to what had become our resident expert. She, of course, had become the only one who had ever done anything. We turned to her and we said, Amy, what happens now? And she looks at us and says, I don't know. I've never been in a campaign that won. So what I want to say with that is stick to it. Do the right thing, even if it isn't winning. Stick to it. I have over 31 years of law enforcement. When I first started out, there was no such thing as equal rights, EEOC, equality, or anything like that. You could be fired for coming on with the wrong colored outfit on. If that person didn't like you and you had the wrong color outfit, you were gone. Times have changed, thank goodness. But let me tell you about an incident. As you heard, I was a Treasury agent. And unfortunately, most of the time, I was the only female, the only minority in any crowd. And there was a class going on. It was an undercover school class. And when I was working for the feds, you have the hierarchy is the local, the state, the regional, and then there's the gods from DC who make all the policies and make all the decisions, and they're doing all the things that we have to abide to. And it was the big picture in DC. And I was in this undercover class, and they were going to have a speaker come in from DC and speak to us and a lot of the stuff that was going on. About that time, women were starting to take management positions in law enforcement. He came in to speak to the class. Of course, I was the only female, the only minority in the whole class. He came in to speak to the class, and at break, I go to my short line, I go to the bathroom, and everybody goes over to the other section, and he's standing around talking with a bunch of guys. And when I come out of the bathroom, for a little while, I'm standing there, and I heard him say very loudly, "I will be blankety blank blank," you fill in the blanks, "I will be blankety blank blank if I ever take orders from someone who has to sit down to pee." Exactly. That was the time. And I can remember standing there. Most of you have had very good experience or very bad experience. When you think of it, it takes you back to that moment immediately. And I can honestly remember standing there and feeling the sweat and the tears from the bottom of my head all the way down to my toes. But you couldn't see it on the outside. I learned not to show it on the outside, but the inside of me was dying. I was young, I had no authority, and I didn't know what to do except take it. And I remember standing there going, if I'm ever in a position where I can have the say on what's to be done, no one will ever be humiliated for whatever color, for whatever race, for whatever size, for whatever height, for whatever sexual orientation, or any physical ability. No one will be treated that way. That is why I'm here this morning. This is what I come to talk to you about. You are that someone. We want to continue to make it a fair, equal, level playing field for anybody who wants to get in and give it a try. We want to continue to do what is right, to continue to do the right thing. And that can only happen when those of us that are taking lead continue to make sure that it happens. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for continuing to make it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Lupe Valdez. And now comes everyone's favorite time, the business section of our morning session, where we'll adopt our final credentials report. We'll adopt the Rules and Charter Committee report, which includes changes to the Rules and Charter of YDA, and we'll adopt the platform for the 2007 to 2009 Young Democrats of America. For the purpose of chairing this section, I would like to call to the stage the chair of the 2007 Young Democrats of America National Convention from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, your friend and mine, Clinton Bench.
When we're free to love anyone we choose, when this world's big enough for all different views, when we all can worship from our own kind of pew, then we shall be free.
Well, good morning, everybody. Glad to see there's some folks here. We're going to be doing the platform in just a couple of minutes, so that's sort of the main section of business for us today. But to start out, I'd like to call our Convention Credentials Committee Chair, Kevin Bondelli from the state of Arizona, forward to do the credentials report. There he is.
All right.
You're supposed to dance a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Okay. It's too early. All right. Chairman Bench, the Credentials Committee has met throughout the week, reviewed charter applications for a number of states and territories and commonwealths, and concluding today at approximately 9:30 in the morning, there are 39 accepted chartered units, the Young Democrats of America, and there are 597 delegates present here for the 2007 YDA National Convention. Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the report of the Committee on Credentials.
Okay, there's been a motion to accept the report of the Committee on Credentials. Is there a second? Is there any debate? Hearing none, I'll ask immediately for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes clearly have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And the next report that we will hear is from the Rules Committee. I'd like to introduce Darren Parks from the state of Maryland. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Darren Parks from Virginia. I'm sorry. Lord.
The champ is here!
I got the right...
The champ is here!
I did get the right region. Anyway.
I'm very upset about this.
I'm sorry.
Craig Pfeiffer. I am from the great state of Maryland, not Virginia. Mr. Chairman, despite repeated oral and written resignations from his chairman, the Standing Committee on Charter and Rules met on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The committee passed several amendments to the charter and bylaws. They are on the green paper that's on each of your seats. There were 7 charter amendments and 5 bylaws changes. Some of them were technical, some of them were substantive. I encourage you to read them before voting because I am not going to summarize them. With that, Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of the report of the Committee on Charter and Rules.
Okay, you've heard the motion to accept the report of the Committee on Charter and Rules. Is there a second? Is there any debate? Hearing none, we'll move immediately to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Yeah, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Well, we're moving pretty quickly. I'd like to call to the podium now the chair of our platform committee from the great state of Tennessee, Lindsay Barrett.
I'm a little bit of everything, all rolled into one. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Your Committee on Platform met over the past 3 days to consider the platform of the Young Democrats of America and several resolutions. I would like briefly just to discuss maybe 2 or 3 things that we debated over those 3 days. The proposed platform under our party structure and core values says, we believe acceptance of diverse viewpoints is fundamental to a well-functioning democracy and an inclusive society. We should be proud of our values, especially in the face of opposition. There is no race we cannot win, and there is no issue or principle worth fighting for that we must sacrifice in our fight for our nation's future. Furthermore, we believe that in the New Deal's promise of economic security, the rights of all to full civil, legal, and constitutional freedoms, the values of a strong and vibrant working class, and the belief that the American dream of prosperity and peace for all can be and ought to be attained. And from our civil justice plank, we believe that all Americans should have the opportunity to achieve the American dream. We recognize, however, that systematic discrimination continues to plague our country. We support local, state, and federal laws which promote equal opportunity for all Americans by prohibiting discrimination based on race, socioeconomic status, gender, religion, sexual orientation, ethnic background, national origin, or disability. I want to thank all of the delegates on the platform committee that worked so hard over the past 3 days. We got finished early, woohoo. I've been on, this will be my 4th platform committee I've served on, and we've never finished early, so thank you everybody for working very hard, and a special thanks to Rachel Cal-Taylor for proposing the draft. That was a fantastic working document, and I really thank her for that. The report will be in 2 parts. First, the platform, and then we will do resolutions. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of the platform for the 2007-2009 Young Democrats of America.
You've heard the chair of the platform committee. She moves for the adoption of the proposed platform. Is there a second? Okay. I will ask then if there is any debate on the platform. If anybody does wish to speak, I would ask you to come forward to the secretary's table over here on your right, but it's also fine if we don't have any debate because I'm not seeing anyone come forward. So we'll move immediately to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the proposed platform, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And all those opposed, nay. The ayes clearly have it. Thank you I just want to say, too, how happy I am that we were able to get this proposed platform done before the end of the day before we were going to vote on it. Usually we end up spending, I think, I don't know, until 2 or 3 in the morning working on it and then trying to feverishly make copies. So thank you for your work, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. She is definitely the boss.
And thank you so much. And Mr. Chairman, I also move the adoption of the resolutions.
Okay, there's been a motion to adopt the proposed resolutions. Is there a second? All right. Is there any debate on the proposed resolutions? Again, if there is any debate, I'll ask you to come forward to speak. And I don't see anybody coming forward. So we'll move immediately to a vote as well on the proposed resolutions. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Okay.
And now, please welcome back from Laughing Liberally, Lee Camp.
How you guys doing this morning? That was about 6 of you. That's some energy. Yeah. That was like a Clay Aiken concert. We are rolling. This is excellent. Cool. Let's try that again. How you doing? Let's muster some energy. Thank you. All right. So I don't know about you, but I have trouble worrying about global warming when they keep the hotel at a brisk 5 degrees. I think if we decide the solution is to air condition the planet, we should just open the front doors to this place. We'd have it covered. You notice, no matter how far off they say global warming it is, the country doesn't, we can't worry about it. Nobody worries about it, you know? Because it used to be they were like, it's 100 years off, and everyone was like, I'll be dead. You know, now they're like, there are people in California on fire. And everyone's like, they probably moved to a really fiery area. They probably collect dry stuff, you know, like old magazines or elderly women. You know, nobody worries about it. And of course it's the cars, right? The cars are big part of the problem. But you don't connect it to your car, right? You just fill up your car. You don't worry about the planet. So if they really want to solve this problem, don't come out with electric cars. Come out with cars powered entirely by endangered species. Right? Because no one would argue that filling up your car wasn't hurting the planet when they're stuffing a baby panda in their gas tank. You know, you're never going to hear, no, the environment's fine. Hold on, this Arctic penguin's giving me a struggle. What? Right? And the gas stations would like it because you use the full service lane, because who wants to strangle their own dolphin? What am I, a peasant? Get Pedro to do it. And if you thought that was a hit on immigrants, that was a white guy with an exotic name. You shouldn't stereotype. You make me sick. You do. You do. Oh, the global warming. I knew we were in for trouble when they came out with the nature stores in the mall. Nature became a store. You had to go to the mall to find nature. Where's nature? It's in between Abercrombie and Fitch and American Eagle. Yeah. What's an American eagle? It's a bird. Don't come around here no more since we put up the mall. And you go in there and it's all like animal t-shirts and animal posters and everything so we can remember what animals used to look like. It's nice. It's like a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt. You're like, remember 60 years ago? Buffaloes. Yeah. They're not around anymore. They overdosed on bullets. So. With the global warming, and Bush doesn't worry about it because he doesn't believe in science. It's just, you know, and that causes other problems, right? Like, the Surgeon General just came out and said Bush wouldn't allow him to do what he needed to do because he didn't believe in science, essentially, and medicine. And medicinal marijuana, like, I'm not saying legalize drugs, but if the person's sick, give them the damn drugs. If they're sick, give them drugs and cheesecake and hookers and balloons. Give them whatever they want. They're sick. Hookers and balloons make everything better. They do. By the way, that's the name of my new nonprofit, if you want to check it out. Because our government's fine with other drugs. They're fine with antidepressants that apparently now sometimes cause suicide. Antidepressants are causing suicide. It's like Nicorette gum causing a crack addiction. It's like Viagra making you ugly. It defeats the point. So they're fine with other drugs. They're fine with antidepressants that might cause you to kill yourself. They're fine with cigarettes that cause 500,000 deaths a year. But they have a problem with medicinal marijuana because it might cause a run on Tostitos. A spike in the Cartoon Network ratings. We can't have terminally ill patients getting chubby and watching Pee Wee Herman. Would destroy this country like gay marriage. Ugh, gay marriage. Even for the nutbags that are against gay marriage, right now, with all the crap that's going on in the world, right now, that's like if your house is burning down and you're like, is that dog pissing on my lawn? Point the hose this way. Gay marriage. And they're always like, well, it's in the Bible. Well, you know what else is in the Bible? That you can't wear a linen wool blend. It really is, but I don't hear anybody ripping off sweater vests. That's unnatural. Oh, and then they're like, but if we allow gay marriage, what if a guy wants to marry a sheep? What? First of all, what? And secondly, I've never even known a guy who's like dated a sheep. Like hung out on a casual basis, you know, like gone to a movie or something. Match.com would have to screw up big time for that to go down. And if a guy did want to marry a sheep, that means at some point at the wedding ceremony, the sheep would have to be dressed up in some sort of wedding gown or tuxedo. And at that point, it'd be so damn adorable, I'd want to marry it. A sheep in a bow tie? You kidding me? We've all had that fantasy. Oh. And then there's the true nutbags that blame disasters on gay people. Various hardcore evangelical, not all of them, but various ones have blamed 9/11, the tsunamis, and Hurricane Katrina all on gay people. And I don't know what you got out of this. All I gathered is gay people are more powerful than you ever imagined. You thought their only superpower was cutting hair, but no. They can destroy entire civilizations. They're like Godzilla with better fashion sense. Oh. And perhaps the news story that pissed me off the most in the past month was that the military actually considered funding the gay bomb. Did you guys read this? They considered putting millions of dollars behind, like, collecting gay hormones and dropping them on Iraqis to turn them all gay. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And first of all, that's incredibly offensive that they thought they could take a people's lifestyle and use it as a weapon. Could you imagine if they did that with anything else? Like, we created a missile that causes boating enthusiasts. And all the boating enthusiasts are like, but we kind of like it. Why is it a weapon? And then secondly, I'm just afraid that news story could ruin comedy. Because what can I say that's funnier than that real story? I feel like I should just get up here each time and go, gay bomb, gay bomb, gay bomb. Good night. It's insane. Oh, that and I don't know. The last thing I gotta talk about is immigration. Once a month, they gotta show the footage of like the Haitian guys getting arrested on the coast of Florida. I say let them in. Those guys spent a year of their lives turning a truck into a boat. That's what this country needs, is some more MacGyvers. Those guys are resourceful. They turned a truck into a boat. Half of our current citizens couldn't turn a truck left. Not without the passenger saying your other left, you idiots. I can't believe I married you. Those guys are right? Those guys are motivated. They worked hard to get it. We don't have any motivated people. We just got dumb kids with peanut allergies who just sit in front of the Nintendo just wheezing all day, just wheezing. If wheezing was an Olympic sport, we would kick ass. And the Americans win it again. Oh, the other kids are throwing peanuts at them. That's not fair. Hey guys, again, check out leecamp.net. I want to keep in touch with you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Let's hear it again for Lee Camp, everyone. Okay, just one quick announcement. I wanted to just remind anyone who was elected yesterday as a new caucus officer, anybody who was elected as a secretary or treasurer or chair of a caucus, please make your way back around to the backstage entrance over near the check-in desk, and you'll be introduced up here on stage in not too long. So again, caucus officers, I see people going over there. That's good, good. Okay, as you may recall from Thursday, we talked about, and just have order, everyone. I know there's a little bit of movement, but just a few more items here on our agenda. As you know, from Thursday evening, I introduced some folks over here on the right side of the room and talked about how we had the distinct honor of hosting delegates from over 45 different countries over the course of this week from the International Federation of Liberal Youth. And just a little bit more information, they held a conference that actually started on Monday evening on the topic of liberal challenges in the 21st century, covering issues from global security to the environment, gay and lesbian rights, and also human rights and international law. They are now actually proceeding with their General Assembly. They're holding their General Assembly here in conjunction with the YDA convention. It's actually over in the seminar theater, and when we're done here, I think they'll still be going on. And I'd invite anybody who may be interested in hearing about some of the resolutions debate there and some of their other statutory debate. Please go do and join them. You're very welcome to do so. And we've been very proud, too, over the last couple of years to be working with this organization that advocates on issues that are of importance to youth around the world, and also working to ensure that youth in all nations have the right to self-determination and participation in their own political systems. And I have some very good news to report as well. Yesterday afternoon, the Young Democrats of America were accepted as full members of the International Federation of Liberal Youth, and we're very proud of that. So thank you to IFLRI for welcoming us to this liberal family worldwide, and to introduce perhaps some of the issues from the liberal perspective in Europe. We have a very special guest. You heard from him back at our San Francisco convention as well. He is the president of LIMEC, which is the European Liberal Democratic Youth, Roger Albanyaya.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Young Democrats. Hello. Hello, voice of the young people in America. Happy to be again among you 2 years after San Francisco, here in Dallas. Happy to cross the ocean again from this little nation in Europe called Catalonia, from Barcelona to be precisely. Happy to be with you, happy to represent thousands of liberals and Democrats from Europe here today in Dallas. Young Democrats, we Europeans, we young Europeans, need a change in the United States of America. We Europeans need the Democrats to take the lead of this country and bring back its dignity after 8 years of an immoral conservative government. Yes, I said immoral government. I said immoral government because for them, immoral are those who do not share their vision on the country and the world and who do not share their vision on the role of the individual in the society. And that's for sure, the most immoral practice. Because they do not respect the difference, because they do not respect the right for us to act and think differently from them. We Europeans need you to return this country to the common sense that Clinton, I would say the husband, not the wife yet, built during his 8 years of administration. Do you remember when the US was a respected, trusted, and prosperous country in the world? Do you remember when the US was committed to defend global matters like the respect for human rights, civil rights, the protection of global environment, the promotion of free and fair trade, the reduction of world poverty? Do you remember, young Democrats? Do you remember when the US was committed to creating an international criminal court, to the multilateral solutions, to the dialogue between the East and the West, between the Arab and the Western world? Do you remember when the US was committed to accept that we all live in the same planet and that we need to think locally, but we need to act globally? Because I do, and the US Democrats are the answers to these questions. The US Democrats is the progressive answers to all these questions, because only through a progressive leadership this country will change the negative perception that many citizens from the rest of the world have about the US today, unfortunately. Compañeros demócratas americanos, ¡viva la plebe! Necesitamos un cambio en América, un cambio real, un cambio que nos permita a nosotros europeos y a vosotros americanos construir una nueva alianza basada en la amistad y la cooperación políticas. Presidente Bush nos ha entregado una percepción muy negativa entre los europeos de lo que hoy representan los Estados Unidos de América, especialmente en países como Italia, Francia o España. Estados Unidos es hoy un país, y mal me pesa, un país que para muchos europeos lo consideran tiránico, comparable a Corea del Norte o a Irán, por ejemplo, para un tercio de europeos del sur de Europa, ¿no? Y eso es gracias exclusivamente a Bush, a su política insolidaria, a su política destructiva y a su política narcisista. En vuestras manos, jóvenes demócratas, como gente comprometida está el cambio, y en nuestras manos, como liberales y demócratas europeos, está el ayudaros. Friends, I conclude. Let me thank very much and very specially Chris Galloway, for opening YDA to the world. LIMEC and YDA are now brother organizations. And let me thank Chris for being such a good president during the last 4 years. We had a wonderful cooperation between LIMEC and the YDA. Our most sincere gratitude and admiration on behalf of the European Liberal Democratic Youth. I wish you, dear young Democrats, the best luck to the new president and to the new elected officers. And let me finish with a small quote from President Clinton, whom I met a couple of weeks ago. We cannot build our own future without others to build theirs. Please think about this. We remain, as LIMEC, truly yours to make the change a reality in America in 2008. And let me thank you once again for this wonderful invitation. Thank you.
Please welcome the Director and members of the Bureau of the International Federation of Liberal Youth. From Canada, the Executive Director, Sarah Wong. From Senegal, Vice President Tafsir Choi. From Colombia, Vice President Paola Silva.
So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel you, boy. Come on, let's go real slow.
From Sweden, Vice President Daniel Wennick. From Canada, Vice President Marc-André Gendron.
It's good to beat the drum like a heartbeat. Long and strong, beat the drum.
From the Netherlands, Secretary General Bart Voort. And now please welcome the President of IFLRI, from Denmark, Jakob Rasmussen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the office, the director, and the bureau members of the International Federation of Liberal Youth. And again, to recognize all of the delegates from IFLRI that are with us this weekend, too. As Clinton said, we were very excited that the Young Democrats of America were admitted as full members from representing the United States into IFLRI. I am very proud and very excited to have these great bureau members as well as all of the delegates with us this weekend. And I am even more excited to introduce, to make some remarks to you, the president of the International Federation of Liberal Youth and a great friend of mine, Jakob Rasmussen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, all of you, for inviting me here, inviting us here, having us a part of it. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here addressing you today. Not only because it's always a pleasure being here in your great country, but also especially because I'm here, as you heard, representing the strong connection that's always been, but now even become more stronger between the United States and the rest of the world. I'm proud to be standing here, addressing your national convention, speaking to you, YDA, an organization that have had, over the last year, an amazing growth. From when I was here the first time, it's nothing short of amazing to see the strength and the influence that the young Democrats here have gotten, how people are listening to you. During the last years, we have had, in my organization, the International Federation of Liberal Youth, we had very increasing cooperation between us and the young Democrats. I have also, on a personal level, bilaterally been here plenty of times, helping you out, and the development has been amazing. I would have to say the cooperation with the Young Democrats and IFLRI has grown very strong because of many hardworking people in your organization who had the global outview and see the thing. But I would have to point out especially your International Liaison Officer, Clinton Bench, and your President, Chris Calloway. Those two guys have put in an amazing many hours of work and global outview to develop the cooperation we have together now. And this is also why it's especially proud for me to stand here and welcome all of you to our global family. As you heard, the Young Democrat was welcomed into the family of IFLRI, yesterday's General Assembly. So welcome into the world of us. Thank you. If you look at this decision of you to apply, of us to welcome you in the family, it's nothing short of historic. We are now a truly global family. We now are a part of the family that has the United States, and the United States are now a part of the world in the liberal sense. The perspectives for this are endless. It's obvious, if you look around, if you see, and I don't think I have to say it that many times to people here because you guys know it, it's obvious that the world needs the United States in order to address all the global challenges that we are facing. But it's also, if you look more specifically at climate changes, international security issues, development aid, global trade, these are many of the issues we cannot solve without having the United States. We need to find a common solution, as this issue doesn't respect and stop by the national boundaries or borders that we have. It's something that influences all of you. The urgency of finding a joint solution for these problems is a challenge that's clear for everyone, and it's a challenge for the whole world. It is also equally obvious, though, that the United States, meaning all of you, also need the world to be a strong partner. We've seen what happened when the United States decides with a president, well, I can say many not so nice things about him. Well, when the United States chooses to go alone and promote some things, that it doesn't always turn out well. But if we go together, we can promote the beliefs and the values that are the core of the United States, that are the core of the liberal values in the world. And together we can do this. When I walked in here, the song in the background you heard was called Better Days. And if I stand here looking at you, thinking a little bit, this is exactly where I see us at the moment. The first time I was in your great country was in 2000, where I was here helping the Democrats trying to win the presidential election. Well, unfortunately, thanks. Unfortunately, we knew what happened at that election. Wrong guy got in. Apparently, the number of votes doesn't really count in 2000, but fair enough. The problem is that this has consequences, and the consequence we've seen, and it's obvious for everyone, for the US and for the world. But, as I said, better days are on the way, because there's no doubt there's wind of change going over America. I also last year had the chance to be here, helping you guys with the midterm, seeing the campaigning that you guys are doing, going to some of your YDA chapters around your country. And you know what? That proved to me, and it proved to the world, and the election result proved to the world, there's definitely a change on the way. Democrats have already taken the House, taken the Senate last year, and there is no doubt in my mind, there's no doubt in most European mind and the rest of the world, the White House is next. 2008, it's going to be democratic. And you know what? Looking at the field of candidate you have, the only question I have to ask myself, which of the brilliant people is going to take the House? Because you have so many strong candidates. The White House is going to have a great leader no matter who you choose. And that leader will lead the US back to the rightful place in the world. And we are looking forward to it. So yes, friends, I can easily tell you, without a doubt, there are better ways on the way to come for the United States and for the world of tomorrow. And I really look forward to enjoying these better days with you in a world where we all stand together for this globalizing of freedom and all the values we all hold so dear in the United States and around the world. So thank you for allowing me to address your convention, and thank you for your time, and continue to have an amazing convention.
Please welcome back the Dallas County co-chair of the 2007 Convention Board, Juan Ayala.
That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. But Texas wants you anyway. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas. That's right, you're not from Texas.
Good morning, fellow delegates. I have the honor of presenting to you the new officers of the various caucuses of the Young Democrats of America. We are going to bring them all on stage at once. I will give you their name and their title. I'll ask you to hold applause until I have brought the entire board of that caucus up. Then we'll have a moment for applause for the board. I will first bring to the stage the newly elected officers of the Minority Caucus. The newly elected parliamentarian is Asia Jackson from the state of Illinois. The secretary treasurer is Shanae Watson from the state of New York. The male vice chair is Charles Williams from the state of Michigan. The female vice chair is Sugar Stallings from the state of Maryland. And the chair of the minority caucus is Erica Contreras from the state of Texas. Let's welcome our new officers. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now coming to the stage are the newly elected officers of the rural caucus. As treasurer of the rural caucus, Rochelle Marler of the state of Oklahoma. Please hold your applause to the end. The secretary is Alan Brock from the state of Florida. Male vice chair is Dan Tompkins from the state of West Virginia. Female vice chair is Candy Hart from the state of Arkansas. And the chair of the rural caucus is Amanda Nelson from the state of Washington. Let's welcome them. Thank you. Next coming to the stage is the newly elected officers of the GLBT caucus. The treasurer of the GLBT caucus is Byron Lemasters from the state of Texas. The secretary is Rob Hudson from the state of Florida. Vice chair is Kyle Bailey from the state of Georgia. And the new chair of the GLBT caucus is Rachel Caw Taylor from the state of California. Let's welcome them. Thank you. Now we are bringing to the stage the newly elected officers of the high school caucus. All right. Apparently, maybe they did not all join us this morning. The political affairs officer is Charlie Dan from the state of Ohio. The vice chair for high school outreach is Guthrie Grace Fitzsimmons from the state of Texas. The executive vice chair is Julian Allen from the state of Texas. And the chair of the high school caucus is Alicia Freud from an unnamed state. Thank you very much. That's well, from the great state of Pennsylvania. Thank you. All right, next coming to the stage are the newly elected officers of the Labor Caucus. Joining us on stage is the newly elected treasurer, Stephanie Strazizar from Pennsylvania. The newly elected secretary, Mike Corbett from New York. The second vice chair, Justin Myers from the state of California. The first vice chair, Bridget Kelly from the state of Ohio. And the chair, Isaac Robinson, from an unknown state. Detroit. Let's welcome the new officers. Thank you very much. Solidarity! Yeah! Next joining us on stage are the newly elected officers of the Jewish caucus. Elected to parliamentarian, Michael Gilbert from the state of New York. Vice Chair of Jewish Outreach, Amy Adler from the state of New York. Vice Chair for Political Affairs, Jerry Greenspan from the state of Texas. Treasurer, elected Treasurer, Gabriel Pressman from the state of Georgia. Secretary, Stephen Yellen from the state of New Jersey. Executive Vice Chair, Alexander Louie from the state of Florida. And the new chair of the Jewish caucus, Josh Pasek from the state of Pennsylvania. Let's welcome them. Thank you. And now coming to the stage are the newly elected officers of the College Caucus. The elected vice co-chair for development, Evan Bayer. The vice co-chair for development also, Alexandra Wood from the state of Pennsylvania, and Mr. Bayer from Arizona, pardon me. The secretary treasurer is Anna Selheim from the District of Columbia. The executive vice chair is Eddie Foster from the state of Vermont. The vice chair for political affairs is Marshall Spivak from the state of New Jersey. And the chair of the College Caucus of the Young Democrats is Sean Nayung from Ohio. Thank you. And now we're going to welcome to the stage the officers from the Women's Caucus. Elected treasurer from the state of Texas, Katie Naranjo. Elected Secretary, Mandy Winton from the state of Oklahoma. Elected Vice Chair, Jacqueline Kozin from the state of Connecticut. And the new chair, or the chair of the Women's Caucus, is Atima Omara Alwala from the state of Virginia. Let's welcome them. Thank you, ladies. And last but certainly not least, our newly elected officers from the Disabilities Issues Caucus. Elected treasurer is Nyota Robinson from the state of Pennsylvania. Secretary is Joe Ciego from the state of New York. Female vice chair is Melissa Price from the state of North Carolina. Male vice chair is Dustin Hausner from the state of New York. And the chair of the Disabilities Issues Caucus is Ben Spanenberg from the state of California. Let's welcome them. Thank you very much. And now it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the Convention Secretary, Rocky Fernandez. Thank you very much.
There are very few announcements. Can we get an applause for that? All right. We want everybody to be back here promptly for the next session, and also the state of Maryland has asked me if I can ask everybody for a moment of silence in recognition of Perrin Mitchell, who's a former U.S. member of Congress and also the first African American student at College Park, which was a traditionally whites-only higher education institution in Maryland. Thank you very much, and we'll see you this afternoon.
For the purpose of a motion, please welcome from the Dallas County Young Democrats, Stephen Hartzell.
If you see me looking down, I'm trying not to show this frown, 'cause I can't see Texas from here.
Fellow delegates and honored guests, on behalf of the Texas Young Democrats and the Dallas County Young Democrats, we appreciate all of you getting out of bed so early in the morning to be at our morning session. And right now I'd like to make a motion to recess until 1:30.
It's been moved and second that we stand in recess until 1:30 from our general session. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The general session of the Young Democrats of America stands in recess until 1:30 p.m.
Stuck between my fantasy and what is real. I need it when I want it.